Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tanisha Wood. Welcome. Today I have Danielle Hobbs with me. Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
Danielle's going to be talking about her Eat, Pray, Love journey.
Yes.
And dating somebody who isn't wrong. They just might be wrong for you.
Exactly.
How you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
I feel like you've had a lot of changes in the last year, based on me following you on social media and kind of following your journey. So what has been going on?
Okay. In 2015, I met this amazing guy when I went on my first trip to Jamaica. I wanted to experience another country, and it was my first trip out of the country. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't been on a plane, and I was on this whole thing about facing fears that year. So,
did you have a fear of flying?
I did.
Wow.
So I jumped on the plane. I went away.
How were you on the plane?
I was great. It was the most, I actually cried when I got up in the air and saw the clouds, and I was like, oh my God, this is what heaven must feel like. But it was great. I loved it. It was the landing. The landing was a little shaky for me, but being in the air was magnificent. So I spent 4 days in Jamaica. I was talking to this guy prior to leaving, and then when I got off the plane, he was there, and we went for our first date. 4 months later, he asked me to marry him.
Wait. So back up. The guy, he lived in Jamaica.
He lived in Jersey.
Oh, he lived in Jersey, but you guys were corresponding back and forth before you went to Jamaica.
Yes. So when I got off the plane, when I came home, he picked me up from the airport, and we went on our first date.
Aw, that's sweet.
It was very sweet.
I love that.
Then after that, 4 months, it moved rather quickly because we were together every day. 4 months later, he asked me to marry him in December.
So what was happening between the time you met and the time he asked you to marry him?
So we saw each other every day. He picked me up from work. We hung out. It was like incessant. We would talk on the phone all the time. Was
that normal for you, or was this a totally different way of doing relationships?
It was very different. Like, I wasn't used to moving that fast, but it felt so natural with him. So we did, and we moved really quickly. So by the time December came, I was already ready. I knew it was coming. He came by and asked my mom. So you guys had talked about marriage and all that? We talked about marriage like the first week.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
I mean, I get it. Me and Chris did that. We talked about that. Like, we talked about not necessarily getting married, but just our views on marriage. And then that conversation came shortly after. So I think it's good just when stuff can flow so freely, and it's not like, oh my God, is she psycho? She just brought up marriage. I just met you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're both feeling this, so it's completely natural.
Yes. And I think the older you get, the easier it is to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know what you want and what you don't want.
Yep.
So, but we decided to wait. We waited about a year and a half because after he proposed in December, and we said, well, wait a year and a half. We'll get our finances together. We'll live together for a while. We'll see how things go.
That's a perfect plan.
And so we did. We moved in together in February. So after 6 months, we moved in.
So month 4, engagement, month 6, moving in together.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we moved in, and we stayed in the same apartment for almost a year. And things started to unravel quickly after we moved in together. We were just two totally different people. So when you're courting, it's like you're bringing your representative. Everything is wonderful. Everything is new. Mm-hmm. Everything is fascinating. And then when you move in with someone, you really get the nitty-gritty of who they are and what they actually like. So I like to travel. I like to do new things. I'm always out and about. I go to random places. And he was a homebody. Mm-hmm. And that became a source of friction for us. among 1,000 other things. So it unraveled quickly after we moved in together.
Was there any major bombshells, or was it mostly little things just like, really, we're just not going to leave the house now?
I think that family played a big role. Like for him, his family was very tight-knit. So if I say, I'm going to Barbados, would you like to come? It was like, oh, no, I have to, see about my mother and my sisters. And he had obligations with his family. But it was almost like, you ever met a man where it's almost like his mother is his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And so it became very awkward for me. And I'm a big family person. I have a huge family. But it was something not natural about the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Like almost dependent,
yes,
like codependent?
Exactly right. It was like she needs me to pay the bills. She needs me to handle this for her. But she was an able-bodied woman. So it became very weird very quickly for me. And it caused a lot of friction because I was like, we're starting a life. We need to save for this. And these funds are actually going to your mother. And it was just very weird. So the guy himself, he was great. He was sweet. He was kind. He was affectionate. He was everything that people say you want in a man. Mm-hmm. But when it came to whether or not we meshed together, we were complete opposites. Mm-hmm. And it came to a point where you make a decision. Do I want to stay in this in order to make the image appear really nice? Or
do I want to be happy?
Do I want to be happy?
Did you talk to him about these things as they came up?
Oh, absolutely.
And what was his reaction? So if you were like, hey, I'm trying to do this and you're trying to do this with your mom. So like, where are we at? Like, what was his reaction? Was he receptive?
My mom comes first.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even after we're married?
Right. That's what I asked. Those exact words. So even after we're married, your mom comes first? Yeah, because she birthed me. She was with me. We went through hard things together. My mom comes first, always. Just like your mom should come first.
I mean, okay, I guess I agree with that to a point.
Right.
So like right now, there's not a ring on my finger. No. There are no vows to me. There is nothing owed to me. So yeah, right now my mom definitely does come first. But I think when you get married and you start a new family, your family comes first. Not meaning, oh, well, screw your mother and whatever she needs.
Right.
But this really needs to be your priority.
Right.
And so if it's not.
And I'm concerned because financially, your family, whatever, your wife, your future children, that should be priority to you after you when you're on the brink of getting married. We broke it off 4 months before our wedding date.
Oh, wait. So things were booked and planned?
It was booked and I still have the wedding dress in my closet. That's how crazy that is.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was that close.
I didn't realize it was that.
It was that close.
So you didn't get back half your deposits, did you?
Nothing. And so it was a very emotional decision. I'm like, we're this close. Like, do I really want to break this off right now? Does he really want to break this off right now? But it became so toxic until we realized, like, he wanted something very different. He wanted a stay-at-home mom. He wanted somebody who was going to be around for him. And I was very much the career woman, didn't want to stay in the house all day. Very different, just personality-wise.
Did you guys have these conversations, like about that specifically? Did you have that conversation up front?
We did. So... And his mentality was, well, I like the fact that you're outgoing. I think that's totally different from everything I've ever dated before. So therein lies the problem. A lot of times we go for things that are outside of our norms, and then we find out that that's not what we want at all.
What we want to want and who we want to be versus who we really are.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like I've been talking about that a lot lately because my little brother said this to me. He said, sometimes, Tanisha, you make decisions based on who you want to be or the you that you aspire to be, but not the you that you are. So you're making decisions for based on the happiness of the person you aren't yet.
Yes, exactly right.
So it's like, wow, I would love to have a career woman who has her own thing going. Yeah, that would be great. Well, that's not the you now.
Right.
That's maybe who you want to be or who you aspire to be, but who you are right now, like that's not a person that is for you.
No. And sometimes you look at that person and you're like, you're going to be so great in 5 years. You know what I mean? You're going to be so amazing. You're going to be an amazing husband. And like, you don't have any animosity because you're looking at this person and you're like, you're still a great man. But I think for women, we automatically think that if the man is great, I got to stick with him.
Because you hear so much about bad men, right?
Yes.
So men cheating, men lying, men doing just stuff you don't do to people.
Right.
And so when you meet somebody that is none of that, right? So you're like, I could put up with, I guess, just you being all extra codependent with your mother. And like, I could put up with you never wanting to leave the house.
Yes.
Because you convince yourself that compared to
The
other stuff,
exactly,
this isn't so bad.
Right.
Even if these are the things that don't make you happy, you're like, well, I mean, at least he's not lying, cheating, etc.
Exactly.
And we take the worst thing.
Yes.
And that's what we compare
and
it to.
our barometer is so way off. And you have well-meaning girlfriends who'll be like, are you crazy? You should stay with him. He's
the nicest guy ever.
Exactly. And you're like, but you're not with me. I'm miserable. We're in separate rooms. We're not talking to each other. We would rather be outside of the house with other people than to be together. Mm-hmm. And so the reality is that you put yourself in a noose. And it becomes very difficult for you to be able to move forward with that person because you're constantly going back to old arguments. You're constantly rehashing old issues. But the truth is, the old issues are really the main issues. You and I don't work. And when you come to that realization, it's the most liberating thing. The breakup was hard. The breakup day was very hard. We were actually supposed to be going for a food tasting at the venue that morning.
For the wedding.
Yes.
Oof.
And that was the day that we broke it off. But it was like we both were like, ugh, like a sigh of relief. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like this has been a long time coming.
Do you think both of you knew for a really long time that it was ultimately going to end up this way, but nobody wanted to say it?
Absolutely.
How did you guys dance around that?
Oh, it was just like, for me, it was the project manager in me. It's like, we got to finish it. We've made a commitment. We put the money down. We'll work through it. We'll figure it out. You know, like, that's just the way I was. And it was like, I don't care. He actually tried to postpone once before, and I wouldn't let him. I said, if you postpone, we're calling it off.
What was his reasoning for postponing?
Because we were having so much friction when it came to his mother and his sisters and me not wanting to be at home. I wanted to travel more because I got bit by the travel bug. Mm-hmm. I had gone away. Yep. And I wanted to go more places, and I could afford to, and he couldn't. That was the other issue.
Got it. So was money a big part of it?
It was. It was a major part of it. I think it would have been less of a trial if we had, if he had utilized his money for him.
But he was taking care of everybody else.
And so that is the epitome of what they call the black tax. So for people who are African American, they say when you make it, you have to take care of everyone else. And I do understand that to a certain extent, but I feel like it put an incredible strain on him, a strain that I didn't even. I was a little bit selfish, and I can admit that, because I wasn't even emotionally tied to him enough to feel sad for him, or to feel like I should be supportive of the fact that he's trying to take care of his family. Mm-hmm. And I think, in retrospect, I was in a selfish moment. And he saw that, and he was like, you act like you're single. You want to go places. You want to do things. You don't ask if I want to come. You don't ask if I want to. I'm like, because I know you're not going to.
But at that point, were you not asking because you knew that he wasn't going to, or because you were just over it anyway?
I think a little bit of both. If he had said, yes, I would love to go, I think it probably would have reignited. I probably would have stayed longer. Mm-hmm. But because I knew he would be like, no, why can't you sit still? Why can't you just be here with me? I didn't want to be there with him. And when I came to that strong realization, like, I don't want to be there with you. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be somewhere else. That's, like, when those words came out of my mouth, I was like, wow.
You said that to him?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He was like, I know. And I don't want to be here with you either.
Oh,
yeah,
ouch.
Right.
This was the day of the tasting that...
Yes.
So I assume you guys didn't still go to the tasting. Hold on. I would have been like, I mean, since we're already paid for this anyway, and they're not going to refund us, let's just go ahead and get some free food.
He was like, I will tell the family tomorrow morning. I suggest you do the same thing. We've called it off, and that's that. And so then when you're leaving, you're like, oh, maybe we can fix it. Like you start having second thoughts and trying to reach out and try to make it better.
That's the worst part, I think, is having to tell everybody,
yes.
And when people, I assume at this point, had received wedding invites, then you have to tell them. You can't just have them show up to a venue like, where y'all at?
But you know what's crazy? When I did tell my family, they said, oh, thank God.
I'm mad at that. I am mad at that because if that's how they were feeling this whole time, why didn't somebody come to you and say, hey, you can do what you want. You're an adult, but we ain't really feeling it.
Yeah. Well, in my mother's defense, she did say that to me. She was like, I feel like this is the beginning and it should be the happiest part of you guys' lives. But instead, I feel like you guys are not really compatible at all. And she's like, and your grandfather said that to me. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, when he walked through the door, your grandfather said they wouldn't make it.
It's for some reason when grandparents say something, I 100% am like, it's true.
Yes.
They're right. I could, when my mom says it, I'm like, okay, we'll see. When my grandmother says it, I'm like, oh, damn it.
Right. And so I think everybody saw it way.
But why didn't she say that to you in the beginning?
I don't know. She was like, you're hard-headed. You wouldn't have listened. You would have gone forward with what you wanted to do anyway. My younger brother told me that he told my mom, don't worry, they're not getting married. When he said that to me, it flabbergasted me. I was like, what are you saying?
Wow.
What are you saying? So everybody saw the signs.
What were the signs that they saw? What were they seeing that you couldn't see? I'm
normally a lively, person. I like to talk a lot, but around him, I would shut down. I wouldn't say much.
Why?
I don't know. It was awkward. I didn't want to be chastised for saying too much. I'm pretty open. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to say something that would be offensive that we would get into a fight with later. It was weird. It was and I didn't want to just leave him behind. And I was constantly, are you okay? Do you need a plate? What do you want? Catering. Catering. That's what it was. And less about involvement with my family and more concern about how he was feeling all the time.
Was that typical for you? In other relationships, had you felt that way? He
was one of two men that I brought around my family. Mm-hmm. I've dated quite a bit, but I'd never brought anybody home unless I thought it was going to be very serious. So for them, when I brought him home, they were like, oh, you guys are getting married? Before he ever asked me, because it wasn't typical. It wasn't typical for him either. He had never brought a girl home prior to me. But it just wasn't right.
This is what I wonder. At the very beginning,
yes,
though there was all this newness and excitement and love, and did you anywhere in you feel something, or did something ever say, I don't know, maybe not?
Of course. But you know how this was the young part of me, I wanted signs. I'm like, you know what, God, if he's the one for me, then let me see two birds in the sky.
Oh my God, there's birds in the sky. Imagine. I've never seen that.
I mean, the hopeful part of me. And you know what it is? I was turning 31 at the time, and everybody was saying there was articles everywhere. If you're 31, you should try and get married. It's difficult for a woman of color to get married, blah, blah, blah. So now this guy asked me, and I'm going to get married. It was more about, if I'm honest, it was more about the wedding than it was about the person. It was more about the planning and the excitement. And I threw myself into that to avoid having to have the tough conversation of whether or not this person was actually for me.
Wow. When he asked you, where were you at in that? Did you feel maybe, or were you still just 100% yeah, we're going to do this?
If I'm honest, I knew it was coming the day that it came. So, you know how girls act all surprised and everything? I already...
Oh my God, really? My nails hair done and I have a full face of makeup, but I had no idea you were going to ask me in this moment.
Yes, it was exactly that. So I knew in that moment that it was going to happen. So I feigned surprise for the pictures. I flashed the ring for Instagram.
How did you know?
Because I had told him, I was like, it needs to go down this week at some point.
But why were you, after 4 months, thinking it had to go down?
Because I don't know. I was in this weird space where I was like, we're moving in that direction. You've talked it up. I know you already bought the ring because I accidentally went through the drawer and saw it.
Accidentally. Accidentally on purpose.
So
I was cleaning.
And so now my excitement is up, right? It's like, why are we waiting? If you have the ring, just ask the question, And if I'm honest, I probably was a little bit on the psycho tip because I was trying to construct the perfect moment, construct the perfect, relationship, construct the perfect picture. And for who? I'm not sure. Maybe it was for me. Maybe I felt like I needed it in that moment because I had so many insecurities in other areas of my life. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I can get this right, then everything else will be right.
Right.
And I needed the complete opposite. I needed to be away from relationships to reestablish who I was, to get rid of the insecurities, and to be really open to something just naturally happening without it being contrived.
Right. So it was almost like you did one of those insert man here.
Yes.
Like I have this vision. I see the wedding. I see the ring. I see the honeymoon. I see this. Okay. Man. Oh, you here.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I was the one who slipped in his DMs.
What made you slide in his DM?
I don't know. I was just like, it's time for you ever meet a girl or you have girlfriends and they're talking and they're like, it's time for me to be in a relationship now. I was that girl.
And you're like, okay, step 1, find man. App, gram, okay.
Yes, that was exactly right.
So you sort of were going into it like, I'm ready for something serious.
Yes.
And you seem like a very planful, and when I make a goal and then I take all the steps to get to that goal.
That's it.
So you seem like you sort of had that same process with a person though, where you're like, it's time. I'm ready for a relationship. What are all the things I need to do to be in that? Okay, I need to meet a guy. Okay, how do I meet a guy? Okay, I'm going to message him. And then so it's like you started at the top and sort of worked your way down.
Absolutely. And it was like, it was moving faster than I even expected. I was like, I gave myself a 6-month time span.
Wait, did you really give yourself 6 months?
I did. I was like, 6 months from the day we meet, he should be on his knee. And it happened in 4. I was like, this is great.
I'm ahead of schedule.
It was psychosis. And it wasn't until it wasn't the best thing that could have ever happened is for he and I to break up. Because in that moment, I had to come to grips with, what's making you rush to the finish line? Why can't you just enjoy? Do you even like yourself?
So it really forced you to ask some tough questions.
Yeah, because what I realized is that a lot of times I was forcing myself into relationships with these men because I felt like it would hide. I can focus on their issues and fix them, and it would hide what was wrong with me and what I didn't like about myself. And I was like, you know what? If I can't enjoy sitting at a table and having food by myself, if I can't enjoy going to the movies by myself, why do I expect someone else to?
Right.
And
that's deep. And it's true.
It's true.
You have to love yourself and really enjoy yourself before anybody else could do that.
And I don't think we understand the gravity of that. I don't even think we talk about it enough. I think that a lot of people are just like, well, you get out of college, you meet a man, you get married, you have kids, you find a job, you get a house, you get the picket fence and 2 kids. That's the story.
But they don't think about themselves. And you know what I mean? Like, well, how is all that affecting me? And do I actually want that?
Exactly.
Or is it just a part of the process and I'm now saying I have to keep going with the process?
Right. And in the meantime, you are a little psychotic because you're trying to fit this person into what you have planned in your head. And they have no idea what's in your head.
Yeah.
And so when I released that, it was the most liberating thing in the world.
So you guys said, you know what? We're calling this off.
Yeah.
Are you still living together? What's that situation like?
No, I started packing up my stuff.
That day?
Yeah. And he was like, by the time I get back, you should have pretty much the majority of your things together, right?
Wait, so back from where? Was he going to work or was he going on a trip? Like,
no, he left the house because we got into an argument about the whole situation and splitting apart.
But you all both wanted it, right?
We both wanted it, but it was still like, how dare you say it first? You know what I mean? Like, so the fight ensued, and who's to blame for the breakup? And it was a lot of back and forth about, the reason why we're breaking up. The reason, we knew what the reasons were. It was both of our issues that we needed to deal with. It wasn't solely one person, but of course, in heat of anger, you want to blame one person. You're to blame. So there was a lot of fighting. And then he got really vehemently angry. He's like, I'm leaving, and when I come back, you should have most of your stuff packed up.
Was this his place?
It was his place.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, why can't he leave? Why you gotta leave?
It was his place. But so then it was the week before Thanksgiving. And I packed up 2 bags, but I was like, I'll be back for the rest later. I went home, moved my stuff back into my mother's house, and he went for a surgery. And I had the keys to the apartment. And my mom and I went back to the apartment while he was in recovery and cleaned the place out. I mean, everything. Towels, drapes.
Were you being a little petty?
I was.
You will not take the shower curtain.
No.
You will not shower today. Not on my watch.
The pillows off his bed. It got really petty. And then I proceeded to have a family auction at the Thanksgiving gathering.
Who wants these pillows? Wow. They're going to eBay if they're not going to you.
It was crazy. And it's been almost 3 years now.
But during that time, when you guys were sort of still going through the petty phase,
Yes.
where you're moving out and, all this, were you guys in communication? Or was it just like, no, do you?
Yeah.
So it was a clean break.
Well, sort of. Once he found out that a lot of his stuff was...
Once he found out his entire apartment was empty.
He was contacting me. I took the Keurig. So this is the thing. When he was in the apartment, he was newly in the apartment. He was in the apartment about 2 months before he met me. And
he's a dude, so there was nothing in there.
Nothing. So what I did was I staged a housewarming party, and his family and friends like pretty much furnished a lot of the appliances and stuff in the kitchen. So I was like, well, it was my party.
So it's my Keurig.
So he was upset over the Keurig of all things, and he doesn't even drink coffee.
But you can make tea though, and other things in the Keurig.
You can. But like the thing was, I was like, of all the things to be angry over, I took the vacuum cleaner. I took so many more appliances. So there was some back and forth with that. I just didn't respond. And then after about 3 months, he gave up trying to contact me. So
no response for 3 months?
No, I was done.
Wow.
And I told him, I was like, I give it everything I got while I'm in it. But when I'm done, I'm really done. What's interesting, though, is that this year, at midnight,
Like 2019,
he sent me a message on Facebook.
What did he say?
So 2 years ago, I sent him a message, and I said to him, I was like, I know that we've had our issues, and I know that we need to make that clean break. And not getting married was probably the best thing that we've ever done. But I want you to know that I wish you nothing but well. And that was 2017. He waited until midnight of this year to respond.
Wow, 2 years later.
And I said, and I wish you the best. And he said, you too. So the message just said, you too. But I had no idea.
So you had to go back and look like you two what?
Well, the thing is, I had deleted all my messages from him. So I was like, you two what? I just put question mark in the box. And then he sent me a snapshot of what I said. And I said to him, I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know what that was about because I don't keep my messages. And then from there, we stopped talking. But I don't have any ill will towards him. I think it was the most liberating experience of my life.
Wow. So what happened after the breakup and sort of the petty phase of it all when you started traveling?
I don't know. Like, people are like, aren't you going to date again? Aren't you going to go out with guys? And I haven't.
You haven't dated at all since then?
Not at all.
Not one date?
Not one.
And this is now 3 years ago that the breakup happened?
Yeah.
So what have you been doing?
So my salary tripled. I was able to finish out degrees that I didn't think I was going to be able to finish. I traveled more places than I can even imagine I would have been able to if I had continued to be with him. And I don't know. I really am. Now I truly am on a eat, love, pray journey. And I feel like 2019 is the year I jump back in the pond to start dating again. But now I want to attract it. I don't want to go hunting for it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a new concept for me because I'm used to being the hunter. It's like, oh, I see you. You know what my message was to him when I saw his face on a dating site? It was Plenty of Fish, I think it was. And I I saw his face and I said, my message to him was, I like your face. And from there, it started the dialogue.
So you were never shy about being like, you know what? I like you. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait.
I mean, I was the girl that would buy guys drinks at the bar. Like,
damn, you're bold.
I was. Yeah. It didn't always work out the way I wanted it to, but I would shoot my shot. And now it's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
So all the things that you said, like you tripled your salary, you've gotten your degrees. Why do you feel like all that wouldn't have happened with him?
Because my focus was him. My focus was, I need to paint the picture. The picture has to be perfect. And so all of my energy was going into the dress, the wedding venue, where are we going to live? Do we have enough for a down payment for somewhere else? Where can I, it was solely about the picture and not about me. Not about actually building myself to be the person that I would want to marry. And I think that that's important. Like, there were so many insecurities because I didn't have the degrees and because I wasn't where I felt like I needed to be personally, that I wanted the guy who was so that I could paint the picture.
Got it.
You see?
So all the things that I feel like I'm short on, I'm going to make sure you have, and I'm going to build those things up. So then the picture will look perfect even if I don't have those things.
Yeah, right. Instead of actually building the things that I need to build for me.
Right.
And then now that I've done that, it's so crazy. Like, I got a call today and a lady was like, the job hasn't even posted yet, but I want you to interview for it. And I'm like, how? And she's like, I'm just gonna forward your resume and you're gonna interview for it. Can you be ready in an hour? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the job is not even posted. That's crazy. But when you really start to focus on yourself, I'm on a podcast. That you attract it. When you are genuinely happy, you attract it.
100%. I'm thinking about that and how I think as women, we do that a lot. Yeah. We find somebody and they may not even be a fixer-upper, mm-hmm. but we will find something to fix to either make it look better or to put the focus away from ourselves. Right. It's like, well, I'm gonna make him the greatest. And it's like, why don't we do that for us as mm-hmm. often? Why don't we say, you know what? Like, for me, sometimes personally, when I'm in a relationship, it is, I do that. I find myself doing that where it's like, well, I'm going to focus on doing this for him.
Yes.
And I don't even know why. I don't know why that sort of naturally happens. I don't know if it's our nature of being nurturing, or if it's just now I don't have to, call myself out on my own bullshit because I can call somebody else out on theirs. But.
Yes. And, it's funny because when you do focus on yourself, you get a lot of, oh, that's selfish. Oh, you're going there and you're not bringing. I had the privilege of taking my mother out the country for the first time this year, and to see her light up and actually step in like blue water. She was like, wow, the water's so blue. And I was like, I would have never focused on allowing my family to experience some of the things that I've experienced had I put all my focus on building this build-a-bear relationship, And so your life changes, your friendships change, your goals and aspirations change. And it's to the point now where I'm like, if it comes, wonderful. But if it doesn't come, it's still wonderful.
And that's the place we need to get to.
Yes.
And that's the place where you're feeling abundant within yourself.
Yes.
And so I don't need anything to fill me up. I'm already filled. It's great if it comes and it adds extra, but it's not, it's such an abundant mindset. And that's where you have to be.
It is. And like the thing is, people are like, well, what do you do when it comes to, your needs? You know what I mean? Like
toys.
And I'm like, when you're, and this sounds,
so you've been celibate and everything
I
for
have.
3. Okay, so you really were just like, I've done nothing in 3 years. I'm like not focused on that at all.
Because I had so much work to do. I was like, because my girlfriend asked me the question that I said at the beginning of this podcast, which was, do you even like yourself? And when she asked me that question, I started crying. Like, and she's like, don't waste tears. Start making moves. She was like, you guys broke up for a reason. Everyone was hoping that you guys could either work it out or split apart because it was just getting toxic. She was like, and now you're at a place where you have to make a decision. Are you going to put the energy that you're putting into that relationship into you, or are you just going to, what's the word? Feel sorry for yourself and do nothing, you know? And it was hard to take, but that's the reason why I like my girlfriends, because they give it to me straight. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the effort. And when I made the first couple steps, things just started bombarding me.
So what were the first steps? Because I know there's somebody listening who's like, well, what do I do? How do I get to that next step?
I got a journal and I was like, well, who am I and what do I actually like? Because sometimes when you're in a relationship, you forget. You get so engrossed in the other person until you start, you don't even know what you like. You don't even know, you've what's the word? Compromised so much until it's like, I don't even know. Do I like to ski? I've never skied. Do I like the gun range? So I started doing all of those things. I got on Living Social and I was like, I'm going to try everything and see what I like.
That's dope. That is so dope. I love that.
I did. So for about a good...
So you're like taking yourself out on really fun, dates.
Exactly. Yeah. That was exactly the premise. It was like, I am going to date myself to find out what I like and what I don't like and what drives me and what doesn't drive me. And when I found it, it was like, great, now I know who I am. And it becomes easier for you to attract people who compliment you when you know who you are. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, it's just a shot in the dark. And then you guys are fighting because you find out this is not who I am, or I don't like this person. And this person doesn't work with me. We are not compatible. And I don't think we talk about compatibility enough. And that's because a lot of us don't even know what we like.
So now that you know yourself and you've spent time and like really figured out who you are, what is the person that you want? Or who is the person that you want?
I people go down through a laundry list of different personality types, and he has to be 6 foot tall and all this other stuff. But I just
6'5" for me. No, I'm kidding.
I think I just want someone who is, honestly, I just want someone who loves life and wants to have fun and is passionate, like extremely passionate about something impactful to the human race. If I could find those two things, someone who is incredibly passionate about something for the human race, community service-wise, or whatever it is that they're doing, they're just incredibly passionate about it, and it's just beyond the surface of let me just make money to live. And someone who really loves life and likes to experience new things and loves God, because Christianity is important to me. Those 3 things, done. And then from there we build.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I realized there's very little you can get through with a person that you feel like has your back. Like, I just want to meet my best friend that I can talk about anything with. And when you meet that, you're golden.
That's my number one. My number one is I need to be able to share anything on my mind, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yes.
And you might not like it, but I can share it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that you can have deep conversations about why you feel the way you feel. Like, I need the philosophical dude that'd be like, really? So why do you feel that way? And that drives me. I like that. I like that dialogue. I like the pushback. I like the guy who gives it to you straight and makes you think about what it is that you're talking about and whether or not that's really what you want. And somebody who is your cheerleader. Like, that's important. Not the guy that says, I want you to sit still, but the guy that says, go for it. But let's make calculated moves. Like, what are you going to do after this? Like, I want that guy.
Who questions what you want to do in order to help you get there.
Yes, exactly.
So do you think that people can change?
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking about your fiance, your ex-fiance. And I'm wondering if given the right tools, and I'm not saying this should have been the case, but I'm just considering this in this moment. But given the right tools, do you think that he could have changed to be the person that...
that's why I said...
Not for you, but for him.
Yes, for him. I said 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, or whenever it is that he decides that, these are things that he needs to work out or work on, or whatever it is that he decides he needs to work on, he's going to be the most amazing husband and father that I will ever know. Because it's there. You can see, how you see it's like when Michelle Obama talked about Obama and she was like, I saw the potential of who he was because he was already working in it. That's him. He's so loyal to his family that I was like, when he realizes that he has to put that energy into his family, his immediate family, it's going to be incredible. Yeah. We just didn't work. And it's okay to be able to say we just didn't work. And I think that was the hard part. It was like, I should have stuck it out. Like for a long time, I was like, I just should have stuck it out because he's going to be a great guy for somebody and all that work will be for nothing.
Oh, no. I don't believe I'm not one that believes in years of unhappiness when people say, I waited it out, or I don't believe in that because life's short.
It is.
And if I die tomorrow, I didn't want to wait 4 years and then on the 5th year, he's great. No.
For a maybe.
Yeah. For a maybe. Like, nah, I'm not really with that.
No, it's not worth it. And quite frankly, if it comes back around again, I've never been the type of person who ever dated any of my exes because it was like, if it didn't work the first time, it probably wouldn't work the second time. But as people, I do believe people change, and I do believe people evolve, and I do believe that you are capable of, I'm proof of it. You can evolve into something greater than what you were. Mm-hmm. And so I'll say, no, I won't say that. I will say that I wish him the best.
Wait, what were you going to say? Now I have to know.
It's like people, they ask me often, do you think that you would have ever considered getting back with him in a later date?
Right. That's actually was going to be my next question.
But the truth of the matter is, I think that certain relationships are a learning experience for something greater that's coming down the pipe. Mm. And so I think we were to each other what we needed to be in that moment. And I'm very happy with leaving it there. That's
great.
Yeah.
Because that means you're not holding on to anything.
Mm-mm.
So are you guys like connected on social media at all?
No, but so the thing is with Facebook Messenger, you can still message people that you're not friends with. Yeah. And my Instagram is open, so he can browse it whenever he wants. His is private. I don't go looking for him, and I would imagine that he doesn't go looking for me, but we have mutual friends, so I'm not surprised that he reached out to me this year. It's just, I don't want to look backwards. I don't. I've come too far to look backwards. And I really believe like people can be cordial. I think one day we'll be friends. Yeah. I do. I think we'll be friends. But there's so much history and so much heartbreak and a dress that I still need to get rid of.
Why are you still keeping the dress?
It's so beautiful.
I mean, if you were to get married tomorrow, is that the dress you're going to get married in? I'm going to assume not.
That was a question that me and my grandmother and my mother were having. And they were like, you love the dress. Because I was saying I wanted to get it altered to make it into a different type of dress, like take the tulle out and make it like a going out dress. Right. But they were like, you love the dress. Why don't you just wear, if you ever get married, why don't you just wear that dress? And I was like, I don't know how the next guy would feel about that. And they were like, well, he should feel like you're saving a lot of money.
No, I wouldn't like it. I just think, I believe everything carries an energy. Yes. And so even a dress carries an energy, even, the painting on the wall carries an energy. And I think when something is carried from a time of bad or poor energy, mm-hmm. it can seep its way into the new space.
I believe that.
You know what I mean? So
I do.
Yeah, I don't think you should wear it at your next wedding.
No.
Though I would think I'm economical too, and I'm like, you know what? It saves me a couple $1,000s. Why not? But you know what? Like, it's fine just getting married in a plain Jane dress.
That's it. And quite frankly, it was all about the dress back then. Now, it was all about the dress and the optics and where is it going to be and are we going to, I mean, I went as far as to say I wanted fireworks. Like, that's how. Yeah.
At the wedding?
Yes. At the reception.
Wow. What was your budget for this wedding? Just out of curiosity. All I see is fireworks.
Can I tell you? I got an amazing deal. So we went to a golf, what do you even call that? Like a country club.
Oh, okay.
We went to a country club. And the country club, they don't really do that many weddings. So the lady was in Pennsylvania. So she was like, listen, 6% tax. You can get meals for $34.99, and we'll throw in some fireworks for another $2,000. I was like, what? That's insane. We're having fireworks. Yeah, so it was a really good deal. The budget was, modest. It was like, I was like, I'm not going above $15,000. And they were like, that's insane. Most people,
Well, once you said fireworks, I was like, this wedding had a crazy budget.
No, it was the very opposite. Like, I was the queen of finding. I was writing for Exo Nicole at the time, and I wrote all about meeting him, and I wrote about the having a phenomenal wedding on a budget. Like, I was the queen of finding the deals because I was like, I want to do something.
Have you thought about being a wedding planner? Maybe you just like planning weddings.
I did. I really enjoy it. I was like, the negotiating and the bargaining is awesome.
So since at that point it was about the optics.
Yes.
How did all your guests take it? Like, how did people take it? How was the breaking of the news to everybody?
It was, for the most part, my friends felt the way my family did. Mm-hmm. The extended family, they didn't really matter as far as how they felt.
Right.
Nobody came to me and was like, oh, you must be heartbroken. There were some people that hurt residually, like from my mom's friends and people who were her coworkers that were concerned about how I was taking it. But when it was over, it was like, I don't know. It was like I was running everywhere. I was dating myself. I was going on these. I really was. I was like, I'm going skiing next week. You know what I mean? Like, it was really cool. And I'm taking boxing classes, and I was at the gun range, and it was crazy. So I kept myself busy.
Yeah.
To avoid feeling, and there was a moment. I'm remembering this now. There was a moment about 2 months after we broke up where he called and we both cried on the phone together. Like, and he was like, "We could do this. We could get back together and we could figure it out." But no,
Did any part of you want to do that?
Yes. Oh God, yeah. I went back and forth. I was like, yeah, but then I was like, but I'm going to be humiliated because we already called it off. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter what people think. We just need to figure us out. And I was like, you're right. We should, because it had become easy. He and I knew each other at that point. We had been together for as long as we had been together. It was easy to return. It was harder to walk away and find out who I was.
Yeah. What stopped you?
The fact that I wanted to find out who I was. The fact that I was enjoying going out and I didn't have to worry about whether or not he would be okay with it. If I was cutting into his time with me, I actually got to be fully selfish without having to worry about anybody else's feelings.
That is a lovely place. It is.
It is.
I think we take that for granted. I think when we're single, we look at it like, oh, I guess I'm just going to go to this thing alone now. Or like, oh, I'm lonely. But we don't necessarily think about the freedom to be selfish.
Right.
And how good that can be.
Right. And how many friends and interesting people that you meet just doing that. Like when I would go to the bar alone, I would meet it wasn't like I was alone. I met the most amazing people, and we would have conversations, and they became friends, and then they became coworkers. And you know what I mean? You never know what's going to happen when you just decide to take the bravery of venturing out on your own.
You know what I think you did that was key is in your singleness after the breakup, because you weren't looking to fill the void of him mm-hmm. and meet somebody right away, you were able to have fun genuinely. Yes. So when you were going out, you weren't like, so, God, there's like no guys in here that I would like. So let me leave and then let me go home and be mad. It was, I'm just here. I'm just me. And hopefully there's cool people in here to talk to. If not, like I'm cool with just being here by myself.
Right.
But I think being single sometimes isn't fun because our whole goal is let me not be single. Let me meet somebody. And so everything that could be fun becomes a task and becomes like, fine, I guess I'll go to this party because maybe I'll meet somebody there. I guess I'll go do this. And the things that should be fun become not fun because we're so focused on the end goal.
Absolutely.
When the end goal should always be, let me love me. And if I don't, let me figure out how to do that.
Right.
But if the end goal is let me meet somebody, every day that you don't meet somebody, it's a bad day.
Yes, exactly. And then your whole focus is, and people can smell and feel desperation.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what you're giving off. That's the odor you're giving off is desperation.
You smell desperate. What cologne are you wearing? Desperation? Okay, because I can smell it.
Exactly. And that's not, I mean, I've been in that place. It's like, I just want to be with someone, and then, but a lot of that is because we're not willing to look at ourselves completely naked in the mirror, like not physically, although some people do that, but figuratively, like I need to work on me. I want to be happy walking down the street on a random day to do a podcast. You know what I mean? Like I want to look at life as an adventure. Because working in healthcare, I tell my friends and my mother specifically all of this all the time. I'm like, I have never met anyone on their deathbed said I should have worked more. I should have acquired more things. They say I should have traveled more. I should have known me more. I should have spent more time with my family. Those are important,
right?
And so I don't know how much time I have. So let me just adventure out every day and see what's happening and meet new people and go to Phoenix on a whim and talk to your friend. Like, let me just do it and see what happens. And when you approach life that way, you start to attract the very thing that you were searching for.
Oh, that is the gem.
Mm-hmm. It is. And for me, it was the lack of girl friendships. It was like I had my head in a bubble. And then when I started like living life, the girl friendship started happening. And I was like, great, that means a man is on the way. Because happiness attracts people.
Well, the thing is, be the person you want to attract.
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
If you're like, I want somebody who's fun and who's this and who's that, don't go looking for that.
Exactly.
Be that.
Yes.
And that will attract that.
Absolutely. And then when people are attracted to people who are moving and like really making an impact and doing something that they love to do. And so when they see it, they're like, great, let me talk to that person. Like instantaneously there's something in you that says, that's a friend in my head right now, but I really want to meet that person.
Yep.
You were on Black Love years ago. And
3 years.
3 years ago.
Crazy. Actually, like almost 4.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there like, she is so fun. I would love to run into her. And then I went to Lawrence's
the family dinner.
Yeah. And you were sitting at the table next to me. And then it happened again. And then it happened. So sometimes what we're looking for is right in front of us if we just take a leap.
Yep.
And that's why I'm excited about this mystery man that I'm going to meet. I'm like, oh, he's going to be so dope.
I'm so dope right now. He's going to be dope.
Exactly. Exactly, because dope attracts dope. Duh. Yeah, that's where I am. I'm like, oh, he's going to be dynamic. I'm just scaling and life is going so well. He's going to be dynamic.
So why is 2019 the year you're getting back out there?
I think I'm at a place, honestly, where I'm like, I'm really happy. I'm not going to go searching for it. I'm not going to be slipping into people's DMs unless like something miraculous happens and I see something I just can't. I just can't pass up. But for the most part, it's like I just feel like I'm in a place where I'm attracting things that I never thought I would attract before. And I was like, I really believe he's out there. And I really believe this is my year. And this is my time. And it's going to be crazy to revisit this podcast in a few months.
Well, if you're listening and you're out there, she's not doing DM slides, so you could slide.
It's fun. I'm just at a good place. And I hope with all my heart that my ex is in a good place, too. I actually wrote a post to all my exes last year. And I was just like, thank you. Thank you for some of them I'm still friends with. So it's like, thank you for every lesson, for the cheerleading and the rallying and everything that you were that made me who I am. And I appreciate you. And that's important to say because a lot of times, exes get a bad rap for whatever.
Because we assume because something was in the past,
Right.
because it's in the past, it's automatically bad
Negative.
for your present and for your future. When in reality, a lot of those people help you become who you are. Maybe not, purposefully.
Right.
But they do. They are part of your story.
Yes.
To make this great book of who you are right now.
Exactly. And I think we don't even take the time. And the very last line of what I wrote said, "Thank you for loving me." Because they chose to. Mm-hmm. And you don't even know why people choose to or how it happens. But for whatever reason, for that moment in time, I was precious to you. And you decided to love me. So thank you. Because I needed it. And I think that's important. We don't say that often enough. But I needed someone to love me, and in that moment, you were the person. And you saw something that I didn't see in myself. So thank you until my eyes awakened and I was able to see it for myself.
Amen.
Amen.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe in a similar situation? Like they're either going through a breakup or they feel like they don't know who they are and they need to establish themselves. Where would you say to start, and what piece of advice would you give?
One, you're not going to die. Because it ended. I think so many times we feel like this is the end of the world, but you're not going to die. It may be the thing that launches you into something amazing, and just embrace it, because this life is a journey. We only get one chance here, and we don't know where we're going to end up. So take time to spend time with you. Go out with girlfriends. Put on your best dress. Like living your best life was the mantra for last year. So do that this year. Just go out. Travel, see new things, and he might be sitting at a coffee shop. He might be in the grocery store, but your focus is not on it. So while you're running, somebody just ends up running alongside you, and you look over, and there they are. And that's the magic of it. Just love you. Love you.
I love that. Love you. Let's keep that for 2019.
Right.
Thank you for coming on today and sharing this story.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I really had no idea. I mean, I think I knew you were engaged at one point,
right,
but didn't really know what happened in between there. So, but I'm glad that ultimately this spun you into who you are today, which is somebody that's confident, knows what she wants, knows and loves herself.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And to you.
Where can people reach you?
They can reach me on Instagram. I'm at Danny Kimberly. They can reach me on Facebook by the same name, and Twitter. And that's and I'm launching a podcast. It's called What Wellness Looks Like. So that's coming up. So keep your eyes peeled.
Dope. And then we'll also put some of your blogs on the site. So
fantastic.
Be sure to check that out as well.
Okay.
And you guys, please reach out to me and let me know what you think of today's show. You can reach me at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.